Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we take your sources and, we really dig in to find those hidden gems, the surprising facts, the core insights you need.
That's right.
Today, we're embarking on a pretty unique journey. We're exploring excerpts from Os Mensageiros that translates to The Messengers. It's a spiritualist work dictated by the spirit Andre Luis, psychographed by Francisco Candido Xavier, and first published way back in 1944.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't presented as just a book, you know?
Right.
It's framed as an actual account from the spiritual realm itself.
Yeah.
So it offers this profoundly different perspective on life, death, what might lie beyond.
Okay.
Our mission today really is to unpack this narrative and pull out its most profound, maybe even practical lessons for you.
Okay, let's dive in then. This deep dive should give you a kind of shortcut to understanding a worldview that, it fundamentally challenges a lot of conventional ideas about the afterlife and reveals some surprisingly actionable insights.
Yeah.
Things you can actually use in life here on Earth. So what does this all mean for you right now? Let's find out. So straight away, these sources challenge our usual notions of the afterlife. It's certainly not all harps and clouds, is it?
No, not at all. That's a great way to put it because it immediately kind of subverts what you might expect.
Yeah.
The core idea, the big insight, is that the spiritual world, even right after physical death, isn't some instant leap to, an angelic state. Instead, it's very much presented as a continuation, a continuation of self-improvement and of struggle even.
Struggle, okay.
Yeah, complete with its own landscapes, its own services, distinct challenges. It's really not a finish line, but just another leg of the journey, so to speak.
The source gives us this really vivid analogy here. It compares a disincarnate man, someone who's just died, to a chimpanzee suddenly, put in a palace.
Right, I remember that part.
The ape might still see rudimentary forms of its old life, rustic fur replaced by silks, the jungle around the nest becomes this civilized garden. But it would struggle, wouldn't it, to grasp the new dimensions? Responsibility, memory, spiritual growth, edification. What's the core message there for us?
Well, I think the core insight from that a really vivid analogy is this. Spiritual advancement isn't really about changing your surroundings, your external situation.
Okay.
It's a profound inner transformation. It emphasizes that real progress. It demands the continuous development of our reason, our self-awareness, our moral capacities. And that's true regardless of the realm you're in. It's all about that inner change, preparing for what the text calls a continuity of perfection in another vibratory field.
Right, vibratory field. And central to this world are figures like Aniceto. He's described as a wise, humble guide for these spiritual messengers.
Yeah, a veteran, experienced in sacrificial tasks, now an instructor.
And we also meet Andre Luis, that's the spirit author himself, and Vicente, his fellow medical learner, traveling with him. But beyond just these individuals, the spiritual realm isn't just like a loose collection of souls milling about.
Exactly. No, it's far from some vast, formless void. Our sources, they reveal this remarkably organized infrastructure, is maybe a good word.
Infrastructure, right.
Of colonies and centers, and each one has specific purposes. It sounds like a true spiritual society.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, I think, for anyone curious about how this spiritual world is structured. First, there's this place called Nosso Lar.
Our home, yeah.
Right, our home. Described as a true university of spiritual preparation, even a paradise for those on the path of, constructive service. Then within Nosso Lar, there's the Center of Messengers, a huge department, apparently, that trains entities to become these living letters of succor and aid.
Living letters.
Yeah, to help those suffering in lower spiritual zones. And the text names these zones. Umbral, which is like a transitional, maybe purgatorial-like region.
Sort of, yeah.
Crosta, meaning crust, referring to the spiritual atmosphere right around Earth. And Treves, meaning darkness, so regions of deep spiritual ignorance or suffering.
Right, and this center, it's not just, processing messages like a post office.
Right.
It actively prepares spirits, some to become reincarnating mediums, others to be trinadors, that's like spiritual teachers or healers, and others just general spiritual comfort workers.
So this concept, it highlights a really crucial point, doesn't it? That spiritual assistance, helping others spiritually, it's not just automatic or effortless.
Not at all. It requires real intentional preparation, even sacrifice. As the source puts it, when the servant is ready, the service appears.
When the servant is ready.
It's clearly an active and pretty demanding calling.
And from these main colonies, the text describes specific outposts, right? We journey sort of to Campo de Paz.
Field of Peace.
Field of Peace, yeah. Described as an advanced nursing center located in a lower region, so closer to Earth. And this is where spirits who were maybe surprised by physical death, died suddenly in a state of ignorance or painful guilt, they receive immediate aid there. It's often called the Posto de Socorro.
The aid post, yeah. A spiritual first aid station, almost.
Exactly.
And this Posto de Socorro, it's far from a leisurely retreat.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, the text describes it as a place of active vigilance, intense work, often surrounded by dangers, specifically mentioning ignorant and unhappy brothers, spirits, still kind of tethered to lower vibrations.
Okay, so dangers. What kind?
Well, the sources even describe defenses like electric projectiles.
Ugh.
Yeah, used to frighten terribly what they call diabolical entities to stop them from entering.
So actual conflict.
It really underlines that spiritual conflict is presented as real. And the Posto operates, as the book says, like a sheep among wolves, defending the good.
That paints a very different picture of spiritual conflict than maybe many people imagine. What does this tell us about these active defense mechanisms? It's quite something.
It really is. It suggests a dynamic environment, not just passive states of being.
And finally, in this section on structure, we find an oficina, a workshop.
On Earth, this one.
Right, on Earth itself. A humble house, it says, that serves as an outpost for Nosso Lar, described as a spiritual anchor, a place where earthly and spiritual realms meet and cooperate, often through individuals like Isabel, who's mentioned as a psychic widow living there.
Right, so that suggests this active, interconnected relationship, almost like you said it, a spiritual embassy between our world and the spiritual one.
Okay, so moving from the structure, the wheres, let's talk about the how. The sources describe some fascinating methods of healing and perception in the spiritual world.
Yeah, this part's really interesting.
Aniceto gives Andre and Vicente something called a magnetic aid to perceptions, and it literally sharpens their spiritual sight and hearing. So what did this enhanced perception reveal to them?
Well, it allowed them to perceive things the ordinary human eye just cannot see. Things like clouds of varied bacteria and maybe more strangely, mental larvae.
Mental larvae, what are those?
Emanations, it seems, from sick or disturbed minds. And the insight there is pretty profound, isn't it?
Right.
It highlights this direct, almost tangible link between our mental state and our spiritual health.
So negative thoughts can manifest as actual unseen afflictions.
That's what it suggests.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. We also learned about soproterapia, breath therapy, described as a sublime privilege of man. And it links it to historical roots like Jesus' healings, even the biblical creation narrative, God breathing life into Adam.
Right.
The text emphasizes that a pure and generous mouth can transmit vital fluids of health and comfort. So what's the broader implication there? That breath has this profound healing power.
I think it illustrates how seemingly physical acts, like breathing with intention, can have these profound spiritual effects.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes the paramount importance of your intention, your purity of heart.
So it's not just air.
No, it suggests true healing is fundamentally a spiritual process, not just physiological. It's powered by the inner state, the sincerity of the individual doing the breathing, the healing.
Building on these individual healing techniques, the text then shows this really striking communal phenomenon, the flock during collective prayer.
Ah, yes, the luminous flakes.
Exactly. During prayer at the Posto de Socorro, these luminous flakes fall from above onto the people praying, who then radiate like themselves, and these luminous bubbles float towards patients described as sleeping or demented. And this causes them to stir, to show signs of awakening. Beyond the visual, what's the deeper meaning of this flock thing for us?
Well, the flock phenomenon, I think it offers a really profound conceptual insight. It seems to illustrate that receiving divine aid, this higher energy, it isn't passive. Our individual coloration and amplitude of sentiments, which basically means our inner state, our capacity for empathy, for love, it actively transforms and amplifies this spiritual energy. It makes us a living conduit for its distribution.
So we're not just receiving, we're processing and transmitting it differently based on who we are.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder of our co-creative role in spiritual healing. It emphasizes that our own spiritual development directly impacts our capacity to channel positive energy for others.
One of the sections that truly resonated with me and felt incredibly profound was the description of the human body.
Oh, yes.
Anathito helps Andre see the divine machine of the human body, reveals it not just as flesh and bone, but this marvelous factory